Hey guys, Ecotech here. When it comes to upgrading your home theater setup, there's always that balance between price, performance, and practicality. Some people want a minimal soundbar that just plugs in and works. Others want a full surround sound system with speakers all around the room, shaking the walls with cinematic bass. The Ultimea Poseidon D70 kind of sits right in the middle. It's marketed as a 7.1-channel virtual surround sound system, an upgrade from their earlier Poseidon D50, and it's clearly designed to appeal to someone who doesn't just want better TV audio, but wants a system that feels more immersive, something closer to a true home theater experience without having to completely remodel your living room. And that's what makes it interesting. So let's talk about it. The Poseidon D70 is essentially a package deal. At the core you've got a long soundbar that carries the three main channels, left, right, and center, for handling dialogue and front-facing audio. Then you've got four wired surround speakers, two for the front and two for the rear, giving you a more directional sense of sound. Those rear speakers connect directly to the subwoofer, which is wireless when it comes to the soundbar itself, but uses a cable to connect to those speakers. That might sound like a compromise, but it's actually a smart way to make sure the rear channels stay in sync without the latency issues you sometimes see in fully wireless setups. And the subwoofer itself is a 6.5-inch unit, so while it's not the biggest you'll find in a home theater, it still packs enough punch to make explosions rumble and bass lines feel alive. Altogether, the system pushes 410 watts peak power, which, for a system in this price range, is kind of impressive. Now one thing to get out of the way immediately, this system does not support Dolby Atmos or Dolby Audio. And that's important to note because a lot of people shopping for a 7.1-channel system automatically assume Atmos is included. It's not. Instead, what you're getting here is Ultimea's own virtual surround sound processing. They've taken the 5.1-channel structure of the older Poseidon D50 and expanded it to 7.1, giving you a wider and more layered sound field. The soundbar uses its internal drivers along with the surround speakers to create a bubble of sound that feels more immersive than a single soundbar can usually provide. It's not Atmos-level object-based audio, but it's definitely a noticeable upgrade from standard stereo or even 3.1-channel setups. The setup flexibility is also something that stands out here. Those four wired surround speakers can be placed pretty much however you want, thanks to the 20-foot cable connecting the rear pair to the subwoofer. If you've got a bigger room, you can spread them out for a more cinematic soundstage. If you're in a smaller space, you can keep them closer and still get that wraparound effect. There are 13 different adjustable surround levels too, so you can fine-tune exactly how much you want those rear channels to stand out. It's this kind of customization that makes it feel like Ultimea wanted to give users a little more control than just plug and play. Speaking of control, one of the main selling points of the D70 is the Ultimea Smart App. And this is where the system kind of pulls ahead of a lot of similarly priced competitors. Most budget and mid-range soundbars rely on a small remote with a few EQ presets and maybe some volume adjustments. But here, you get app control that gives you access to over 121 preset equalizer matrices. That's right, 121. And these aren't just generic bass boost or movie mode options. You can go deep into sound customization, exploring different styles like pop, classical, rock, or just flat-out boosting the bass if you're into that. There's also a full 10-band equalizer, which lets you create your own sound profile from scratch. For audiophiles or just people who are picky about sound, that level of control is kind of rare in a system at this price point. Of course, for most people, you'll probably stick with the 6 main EQ modes: movie, music, voice, sport, game, and night. They're tuned to highlight what you need most in those scenarios, so, clearer vocals in voice mode, more immersive bass in movie mode, or reduced dynamic range in night mode so you don't wake up the neighbors. But the fact that you can take any of those and tweak them further using the app is what gives this system more personality compared to your typical soundbar subwoofer combo. And Ultimea promises regular OTA, over-the-air, firmware updates, so the app and the system's features can actually improve over time. That's a pretty future-proof approach, especially when most soundbars become outdated after a year or two. Now let's talk about sound quality. Out of the box, the D70 delivers a strong sense of space. Dialogue is clear thanks to the dedicated center channel, which is a big step up if you've ever struggled to hear voices over background music on a TV's built-in speakers. The bass from the subwoofer hits nicely, not too overpowering, but definitely present enough for movies and music. The rear speakers are what really make the difference, though. With proper placement, You can actually hear sound effects move around the room, whether it's footsteps coming from behind you in a game or a car zooming across the screen in a movie. It's not quite the same as Dolby Atmos, where sound can come from above as well.